just a small bump. I know you grow into your skin with a smile like hers and a dimple beneath your chin.
Hi everyone, I'm Jessica. Welcome to my channel. The reason I'm making this video is to give some more information about gastroschisis. Gastroschisis is a birth defect that happens while the baby is in the womb. His abdominal wall doesn't fully close, which leads to intestines sticking out of his abdominal. Gastroschisis is diagnosed through ultrasound and through congenital defect testing. And my son was diagnosed through ultrasound when I was getting tested to see if he was a boy or a girl. On the day of my son's birth, they took him immediately away from me. They covered him in like a bag, but they didn't let me touch him, see him, kiss him, nothing, because they didn't want to expose his intestines to bacteria to prevent infections and all of that stuff, because he's so small that he wouldn't have an immune system to fight it, and it would just make things way worse. Which I'm grateful that they took him away. Yes, it is hard seeing your baby go away after you pushed him out and you went through all this trouble to see him and you haven't seen him. Like, it's just everything that a mom wants to do is like carry their baby and see them for the first time and hug them and all of that extra stuff. But that's not what's gonna happen, unfortunately. They need to get that baby over to protection as soon as they can. So after 2 hours, I saw my son. He had a silo bag placed over his intestines, and he also had a replogal, which is something that suctions out of their stomach like acid, whatever they have in their stomach, continuously. It was always going, and it was always taking out acid and all that stuff that they have in their stomach, bio, all of that's going out all the time. And he also had through vein, he didn't have a PICC line yet. He had an IV since it was day one, and they had to get my consent to put a PICC line in, which was giving him nourishment, and it was also giving him 2 types of antibiotics just in case they did not want to risk that infection at all. That was the #1 priority, not getting an infection. Everything else could wait. Day 2 after my son's birth, that's when they actually started the procedure of inserting the intestines. What they do is they grab the silo bag and they press down on the intestines as far as they think that they can, and then they let gravity do the rest. They let gravity accommodate the intestines, that way they are in position, and then it's just the process of waiting. The antibiotics stayed, the replogal stayed. He wasn't eating. He was just getting cheek paining, so I did have to pump. And they get, what cheek paining is that they get a swab and they put the swab inside the colostrum, and then they get the swab and they pass it on his cheeks. That helps him align his bowels, and that also helps him get antibodies, and it's another kind of antibiotic. Basically, that's what that was. Okay, so on day 3, 2 major things happened. On day 3, they pushed in about half of his intestines in the morning, and they also asked me if they can insert a PICC line. Mind you, he is getting antibiotics and he is getting nourishment, and each one is in a different needle. So if it was PICC line, it would only have to be in one needle. He wouldn't have to go through so much pain, and they didn't have to clean it, take it off as much. It was just there. They didn't have to keep pinching him. It was just there. So I did decide to go on with the PICC line, and the replogal was on continuous suction still. He was not eating, and he also kept on with the cheek paining. On day 4, they actually did push in all the intestines inside of his stomach. They did not remove the silo bag that same day because they wanted for the intestine to accommodate the best they could in there without feeling compressed. The replogal was still kept on continuous suction that day, and they were still giving him nourishment through PICC line. He was still not able to eat. The doctors explained to me that when he was able to eat, he wasn't gonna jump onto 2 ounces, even though he was crying of hunger. It was crazy. But he couldn't tolerate that. It was just a very slow process. When he started eating, he was gonna get maybe 5 ml when he started. Mind you that the cheek paining was 0.1 for both cheeks. So it wasn't 0.2 until altogether. No, it was just 0.1. It was nothing what they were giving him. They were just painting his cheeks with colostrum. And it was a waiting process from there. So on day 5, they actually removed the silo bag and they put a wrap. It looked kind of like the saran wrap that you put for cooking. It looked like that over his stomach, and we were deciding either we wanted to operate, which was, you know, sewing it all together, or we wanted to do a sutureless closure. I decided with my doctors that we were going to do a sutureless closure because we didn't have to undergo anesthesia since he was so small. We didn't want to risk it. You know, anesthesia is bad for anyone, any age, any weight, any color, anything. It just didn't matter. We didn't want to go through that. So we did the sutureless closure, which is letting time close his abdominal wall slowly. They do place, it's like a sponge, and it has some ointment that helps the skin grow and close faster. After day 5, it was just a waiting process. Actually on day 9, the doctor recommended me to carry my son for the first time, which was the best feeling in the world. They wanted me to kangaroo with him, which is when you let the baby be naked inside of your, you know, inside of you, because it says it's better for the healing process. And I noticed it was. After we kangarooed and I started carrying him more often, he did get better quicker. And fortunately, he didn't have no setbacks after the intestines were placed in. His skin was closing fine. He had no signs of infection. The antibiotic was reduced to 1. And we were starting to talk about the feeding. Day 14. On day 14, his second week of life, they actually took away the replogo out of his mouth because he wasn't taking out in the replogo on continuous suction. He wasn't having that much waste, that much bile, that much acid, so they didn't see he needed it. He also had passed poop, so that was a good sign. So they just took out the replogo. They continued on with the nourishment through vein, and he still wasn't getting fed. But now we're on day 27. The doctors actually gave us the okay to go home. It was the best day of my life, I think. Well, the only thing that they actually sent us home with was acid reflux medicine and vitamin supplements. The acid reflux medicine was given to him because babies with gastroschisis tend to get colicky, you know, they just don't tolerate food as well. That's not my baby's case. My baby eats a lot and he has like no problems, but I am giving him the acid reflux medicine, so I wouldn't be able to tell you if it was his case, honestly. Well, after we left the hospital, our instructions were to go to our pediatric a week later, I believe. Yeah, it was a week later, and we had to follow up with a PD search 2 weeks after we had left. And the discharge also told us if he had a fever, if he started throwing up, if anything was abnormal, to rush him into emergency room, and from there we'll see. But that was not our case. Okay guys, so to wrap things up, I just wanted to let you guys know that if you are going through this, have faith, it does get better. And I also wanted to show you guys his belly button, what it looks like now, so you guys can see it does have a hernia. So when he's 1, we are going to try to operate it and make it look cosmetically better. But this is what, oh, don't cry. So his belly button looks like. Let me see if I can move the pamper a little bit lower. Yeah, say hi guys. That's my belly button. That's my Superman belly button. Well, yeah, other than that, enjoy your baby. You know, it's kind of rough, I understand, but it's worth it. Right, boo boo? Say bye. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you. If you guys have any questions, please suggest them in the comment section below. Bye.